When Batman the Animated Series first began, the creative team famously had a no supernatural beings rule. No ghosts, no goblins, no vampires. Their intentions were to create a more grounded series, with the odd fantastical science fiction element thrown in for variety's sake. However, after the initial run of 65 episodes and a further 20 of The Adventures of Batman and Robin, the team wanted to work on something else. Superman the Animated Series. Given that one of the traditional challenges of writing Superman stories is finding foes that can challenge him physically, and that one of his comic book weaknesses is magic, it's unsurprising then that the barriers came down and we started to see more mystical figures appear. As it's October at time of uploading, now is the perfect time to talk about one of their most memorable supernatural characters, Etrigan the Demon. Created by Jack Kirby in 1972, Etrigan the Demon was a beast from hell that had been summoned by Merlin the Magician to aid him in defending the kingdom of Camelot. When the immortal witch Morgana Le Fay breached the city's walls in an attempt to steal Merlin's powerful Eternity Book, Etrigan held her demonic forces at bay while Merlin made plans to foil Le Fay's scheme. In these original comics, Merlin tore out the pages of the Eternity Book and gave them to Etrigan to protect. In order to better hide these powerful spells, Merlin created a human form for Etrigan to hide inside until the time was right, and wiped his memory. Flash forward hundreds of years and this human was still wandering the earth, trying to get to the bottom of his creation. He was named Jason Blood, and his dreams were haunted by images of demons throughout his unnaturally long life. In his quest for answers, he stumbled upon a servant of Morgana Le Fay, who was also still alive, but nowhere near as youthful looking, and still sought the pages of the Eternity Book to restore her youth. Jason would eventually find Merlin's tomb, which itself was inscribed with the words from the Eternity Book, and Jason discovered the secret to unleashing his inner demon, a short incantation.
Change, change, O form of man. Release the might from fleshly mire. Boil the blood in heart of fire. Gone, gone the form of man. Rise the demon Etrigan.
It's worth noting that anyone that knew this incantation could turn Jason into Etrigan. Likewise, anyone that knew the counter incantation could also turn him back into Jason Blood, which is a significant weakness. Etrigan and Blood were two separate entities with their own desires and ambitions, but they shared a common goal: to serve Merlin. In a way, the dynamic was similar to another, more famous Jack Kirby co-creation, The Incredible Hulk. Although Blood was initially conjured out of nowhere, this was later changed to Jason Blood being a peasant who would be bound to Etrigan to punish the demon for failing to protect Camelot, and it drove them both mad. In the DC animated universe, Etrigan is given yet another origin. There, Jason Blood was an English knight during the time of King Arthur, who betrayed the king by letting the sorceress Morgana Le Fay into Camelot alongside her horde of monsters. Blood thought that Le Fay loved him and that they would be together once she took over, but Le Fay was using Jason and she poisoned him, leaving him to die. The sorcerer Merlin punished Blood for his treachery by binding him to a demon, forcing the two to coexist until such a time that Blood had repaid his debt. Chronologically, Etrigan made his first appearance in Batman Adventures Annual 2, a tie-in comic written by Paul Dini, illustrated by Glenn Murakami, with inks by Bruce Timm. The canonicity of tie-in comics is generally pretty debatable, but when they're written and drawn by some of the key architects of the shows, you really should include them. In this story, Ra's al Ghul demolishes a building in Gotham City to find a stone tablet that had been buried in the building's foundations decades ago. This tablet is the key to Ra's summoning a demon from the depths of hell to act as his servant. Ra's had sought the power of this tablet for 200 years, and the last time he came close to getting his hands on it, he was thwarted by Jason Blood. In the modern day, Batman seeks out Jason Blood for assistance. Blood had previously helped the police solve a seemingly supernatural murder, so was the first person that came to Batman's mind when he faced something supernatural. It's clear from this comic book and his appearance in his first on-screen appearance, the new Batman Adventures episode The Demon Within, that Etrigan and Jason Blood are separate entities. Note that when Etrigan is stolen from Blood by Clarion the Witch Boy, Blood's body begins to age rapidly. Also note that the version of Etrigan we see in TNBA is absolutely huge, far different from the comic book original, or how the character appears elsewhere in the DC animated universe. This design gives him a sense of physical power that you just don't get with his other design. You could totally believe that he'd be able to stop a van with his bare hands. The sleeker design, meanwhile, looks less physically strong, but more nimble, acrobatic, and reliant on his powers. Etrigan's most significant story would come during the Justice League two-parter, A Night of Shadows. This was a story that established Etrigan's origins as being connected to Morgan Le Fay. Also note that they went with the more comic book accurate design, with Etrigan being more of a weird little acrobat that can breathe fire. Despite the initial reversion, in this story Etrigan and Jason Blood feel interchangeable, although perhaps Etrigan personifies Jason's more negative personality traits. He's short-tempered, distrustful, quick to insult people, and very bitter. Etrigan acts as if it was him that had been personally slighted by Le Fay's betrayal, not Jason. Etrigan only really seems to get along with Batman, partly because of their shared history, and perhaps also because their similar sense of fashion. These newer heroes have yet to earn Etrigan's trust. There's a comparison to be made between Etrigan's backstory and the plot involving the Martian Manhunter. It is his greatest desire to see his long-dead loved ones again, and this is exploited by Le Fay. Yes, she places him under a spell, causing him to hallucinate being with his family, but she plants the idea that she could restore Mars to its state before it was decimated by the forces of the Imperium. All he would have to do is give the powerful stone to her, and it seems like an offer too great to resist. There's a suggestion that he's under Le Fay's control. Note that his delirium from her illusion leads to Batman being injured, which clearly distresses Jean, but later on he makes the conscious decision to take the stone to her. Note that he also decides to destroy the stone, stating that the cost of his own happiness was too high. So the story ends on a sad note. Jean saved Earth and earned the trust of Etrigan, but it came at the cost of his own happiness. Jason Blood, meanwhile, continues to roam the Earth with a raging demon within him. Etrigan could be seen several times in the background in episodes of Justice League Unlimited, but his only significant appearance came in the episode Kid Stuff. This is a more light-hearted tale where Le Fay's son Mordred banishes anyone older than him to another dimension, leaving the children on Earth free to do what they want, with him as their king. Etrigan makes a humorous appearance as Mordred's pet beast. However, he has been de-aged to a baby, and enters into the care of the de-aged Justice League. When Mordred is defeated and everyone returns to their normal age, Etrigan finds himself being held by Wonder Woman, and he is not at all displeased with this, calling her Mommy, before she drops him on the floor in disgust. As an immortal being, it probably won't surprise you to hear that Etrigan turned up during the Batman Beyond era as well. He made 2 appearances, one during the first 6-issue volume of the Batman Beyond tie-in comics, in which he helps Batman defeat a demon that had been accidentally merged to a young boy after he had found a spell on the internet. In his second appearance, Etrigan and Jason Blood help Terry overcome a demonic possession of his own, on Halloween of all nights. These aren't significant stories by any means, but the fact that they're written by Batman Beyond writer Hilary Bader means they count in my opinion. Etrigan does make a couple of appearances in the Justice League Unlimited tie-in comics, but note that nobody working on those comics had anything to do with the creation of the show, so generally I don't tend to count them. But hey, if they fit into your personal canon, more power to you. Enjoy the stuff that you enjoy. And that's your broad overview of Etrigan the Demon. One of the things I liked about the animated version of Etrigan was his origins in lost love and betrayal. It's one of the worst feelings on Earth to be betrayed by someone you love, someone you thought cared deeply for you, when in reality they were just using you. This gives Etrigan a relatable element, even if it only came up in just one story. Okay, that's it for this week's essay. If you liked the video, don't forget to like, share, subscribe, leave a comment, tell all your friends about me. You know how YouTube works. If you really enjoyed the video and have the means, please consider making use of the thanks button to send a buck or two my way, because every little helps. I offer channel memberships for $1.99 a month. This will get you early access to my weekly video essay, priority responses to your comments, members-only videos, custom emojis, and an icon on your profile indicating that you're one of my people. And special thanks to my current channel members, who are all listed on the screen right now. Next time I'll continue my Halloween series by going back to Batman the Animated Series' version of the Scarecrow to talk about how, despite some strong visuals, the creative team had to keep tweaking his design in order to make him live up to the title of the Master of Fear. Hope to see you then.